Hi, I'm Sally and this is the tutorial for my Daffodil or Waterlily charm. You will need bands for the outer colour, bands for the inner colour and then bands for the centre. For the Daffodil, as you can see, I've used yellow and orange, but you could use white or any other combination you like. This is more the Waterlily, so if it's laying flat. The bands I used for this were jelly bands, sort of metallic-y burgundy colour, and they've sort of shrunk in a little bit, whereas these are just normal bands and they've kept their shape better. That's more of a Waterlily, and I've used a pale pink on the inner ring of petals, and then a dark, sort of lighter orangey yellow in the middle. And this one I've done two colours on the petals. On the outer petals I've done blue on the tip and then white in the centre with a neon yellow middle. So let's make a start. First we're going to make the larger outer petal, so this one here. So taking whichever colour band you want to use, I'm going to use gold. Taking a single band, you are placing it on the first two pins down the centre, and then taking double bands, you are going from the centre second to the side third. So like this, and then we're going to do the same on the other side. Like this, and then we're going to go down one on each side, still with double bands. So one there, and one there. And if you want to change colour and do the two-tone petals, this is where you need to change and do the lower colour that's going nearer the centre of the flower. I'm going to do mine all gold. So now you're going diagonally like you did at the top, so like this, and then we're going to fill in the centre, and we're just going to go straight down with double bands. Like so. So you should have something that looks like this. And now we're going to place a cap band on this peg here. So pushing your bands down, taking a single band to match the rest of your petal, and you're going to wrap it around 3 times. So 1, 2, 3, like that. And then we're going to place triangle bands on. So again, taking a single band, you're going to make a triangle shape just here, and then pull it over that lower pin so it's a diamond, and then we're going to place another triangle band to cover those 3 pins there. So like this, and then once you're at this stage, you're ready to loop it. So taking your hook, you're going inside this cap band here, this one here, the only one you have, pushing it back, taking the top 2 bands and taking them around the pin and then hooking them back onto themselves, and then taking the next 2. I just have to be extra careful with these bands because they are very fragile and they do break very easily, which is why I'm not using these bands for the centre of my flower like I have done on previous flower tutorials, because the tension around the centre, in the centre around the pins, is quite a lot, so you need to use nice strong bands on those. And now I'm going to loop up here and to here. Oops. And then going up the centre, which is just a straight line. and then going up this side here. Like so, and it sort of looks a bit like a leaf now. So then taking this band here, you're going to put your hook inside of this pin, inside all of these bands, finding that bottom band, taking it round and carefully hooking it on. I'm just going to run my hook around the inside of this pin to help loosen the bands up and relieve the tension on this band to try and hopefully stop it from breaking. And then just take the bottom band and hook it over the top. So you should have something that looks like this. And once you're at this stage, you can remove it from your loom. This will need to be tightened. If you have bands like mine that do break very easily, you can tighten it when you take it off the loom. If you have stronger bands, then do it now before you remove it. But either way, as long as it gets tightened, it'll be fine. So I'm just going to put this band around my finger, and I'm just going to gently pull it until it slides down and it's secured the petal. So give it a little tug out. It should look a bit like this, and we're just going to tuck this top band away. So taking your hook again, take it through some of the bands on the back of your petal like this, catching this securing band in it, and then just pull it through and repeat until it is hidden. And tucked out of the way. Like that. Now you will need another 5 of these, which I have already made. So if you pause the video, make yourself another 5, and then I will show you how to make the smaller inner petals. So for the smaller petals, I am using an ordinary sort of turquoisey aqua coloured band, and we're going to place this band like so, like that. You can actually get, because you'll also need 6 of these petals, you can get all 6 on your loom. So if you start this one the same, make the petals, if you put the next one diagonally, I'll show you once finished, you can get all 6 on. So you're making a diamond shape with double bands, so like this, and then we're going to go down here and here, and I'll show you how to position the second one so you can get all 6 on. So here is your petal, quite easy to do. So with the second one, if you place it, so this band is this band, and then do your diamond shape again, and then continue, so the next one would be here. You can fit them all on to save messing around too much, making it a little bit easier for you and a bit quicker. So placing a cap band on this petal here, wrap it around 3 times, and then again we're looping. So in the cap band, top 2 bands, hook them over in the cap band and hook them over, and then inside each side band and hooking it towards the centre like this. And then we're taking this band here, so in that pin, hooking it round and onto there, and then we're going to take this bottom band here and we're going to put it over the top. Now these bands are much nicer bands to work with, they're stronger and they've got sort of an oily coating, in a way, which you can, which helps to put it tight, and they just slide off of each other, which is much nicer. So you can just fasten it if you have bands like this. My gold ones, I should say, are not Rainbow Loom bands. They are another brand that I cannot remember what they are, but they're not Rainbow Loom bands. That I know. So we're tucking this band away as well. It's quite difficult to do because it is such a small petal. It looks like a little ball. But it does work, and you can tuck it away. You may have to sort of double it back on itself somehow, but just keep working your way around and you get there in the end. It is fiddly. I'm just going to take this straight across the back of the petal. Like so. Came off my hook. And then taking it back through. Somehow. There we go. So it's all hidden. So you just have the petal shape. Now again, you will need 6 of these. So if you pause the video, make another 5. And then I'll show you how to make the centre and attach all the petals. So taking your loom in the same configuration again, I'm going to use orange for my centre. So it's a sort of, it's actually sort of a neon orange, but I find that it sort of mutes itself a little bit with different colours. If you put them with sort of neon-y colours, they do look a lot brighter. But with sort of paler shades and more sort of dull shades, they do mute themselves a bit and they do look a little bit more pleasing to the eye, unless you like bright neon colours. So placing double bands over this middle centre pin, and then we're going around with double bands again, and we're going to go round in a hexagon shape. We're making a starburst. So if you know how to do that, you can go ahead and do that. Double bands in the centre as well as around the outside. There's an aeroplane going overhead. Okay, so push all your bands down. You will need to fit a lot of bands on these pins. So you have this shape, and now we're going to go with double band from the centre pin and out to each of the outer 6 pins. So I'm going to start at the top, so I know where I've started. Makes it easier to try and work out where the top 2 bands are coming from. Pushing them down. So this is neither a daffodil or a waterlily really. It's just more of an imaginary flower. It's not based on anything. It's just to show you the design and how to make it. Now, you need to add one more band onto this centre pin, which is a cap band. Wrap it around 3 times. You don't want it to be too tight because you have a lot of bands to pull through. If it's too tight, it'll make it more difficult and you may lose bands along the way. So this is the centre of your flower before we put the petals on. We're going to add the petals. So we'll go around and do the larger petals first. So, taking one of your outer petals and taking a hook, you want to find your cap band, which is at the bottom. If you're having problems finding it, if you find where you tied it off at the top, then the opposite end, you'll have your cap band. Stretch it out and place it over a pin. It doesn't matter which pin, as long as it goes over, because they're all going to have them on in the end. I'm having problems finding the cap band on this one. It's there, it's tucked itself around the back a little bit. So putting your hook in, stretching out that cap band and placing it over. And again, cap band, stretch it out, place it over the pin, like so, push it down, and you just do this all the way around. Sorry if you can hear my daughter in the background. Talking to her daddy. And over there, and then the last one. Stretch out and place it over. So once the outer petals are on, it looks like this. Now we're going to add in the inner petals, or the trumpet of the daffodil. So taking your 6 petals and doing the same thing again. It's a little bit trickier because they are so much smaller, but you'll find in the cap band, which will be the one that's all wrapped around, placing your hook inside, stretching it out, and pulling them over the pin, like so, pushing it down, and again working around all 6 pins. You may find that some of your tying off bands will work loose, but we can tuck them in again at the end. It just keeps them out of the way, it makes it a little bit easier trying to find which is which with the cap band and the tying off band. Leave them free if you wish to until the end. There will be a lot of bands that are floating around this design, especially when we loop, because you've got to get through a lot of bands to hook them back on themselves. And there we go. And then the last one, wherever it's gone, can't find it. There it is. Looking at it sideways. Found it. And then stretching it out and placing it over the pin. So these bands are a little bit slippery, so it makes it a bit more tricky. So some of my bands are coming untucked, but I'll tuck them in again at the end. And here is your flower with all the petals attached. If you need to pause to get to this stage, then feel free and come back once you've caught up a little bit. If you are and you're ready to loop, make a start on that. So going in through this cap band, you want the top 2 bands only. You probably will need to hold the cap band on so it doesn't ping off, and take your time over doing this. So there's the first one, and I'm going to go around and do the same on the other 6 pins. So working in the opposite direction to the way you've put them on. So pushing back and finding those bands and hooking them around. If you need to do them one at a time, then that's absolutely fine, as long as you hook them all eventually. And I've hooked the wrong band on that pin. This band here needs to come onto this pin here. So just make sure you're hooking them all onto the right pins. It's a bit difficult to see when you start initially to work out which band's going where and what's what. But it does get easier just when you hook around if you need to, if the bands get a little bit tight. So next 2, pulling it over, pulling those bands out the way, and just hooking it over. And I've just lost the band. If this does happen to you as well, and you end up with a loose band under here, it's not a problem. If you just take your hook inside your cap band, find that loose band, put it back through the cap band, and then just hook it onto whichever pin it needs to go onto, and then push it down. Okay, back into the cap band. And hooking that one on there, and I'm just going to loosen the bands around the centre again because that one's got caught. The more you do, the easier it does get to see. This is the most time consuming bit, I think. This is the fiddliest bit, certainly. Also making the petals is the most time consuming bit, but neither take too much time. So, once your centre's all looped, it should look like this. And then we're going to loop outside. So you're going in whichever pin you finish looping on. So I finished on the bands where my two tying off bands are here. So I know that the first band I need to loop is on this pin. So you want to go in, push the bands for your petals out of the way with the back of your hook, and take the top two bands underneath, which is tricky and difficult to see. Just like that. And hopefully I've got the right ones. What I find on these pins is the bands do get so tight, so I find it useful to have a second hook to hand, that I can loosen the bands as I pull them out. If you can do it using one hook, then that is excellent, but I struggle to use one hook to do both. So I'm just going to use the one, which means you loosen the bands so there is less tension, and that's got caught, and you're less likely to lose any, and then place it over that hook there. So it is hard work. And then you want to go down through all of the next pinned bands, find the bottom two, and you're pulling those all the way up around the pin. And like I say, use strong bands, because if I was to use bands like the gold ones that I've used for the petals, I wouldn't get too far because they would just snap. But these bands seem to be doing quite well. Fingers crossed they carry on doing well. And hooking up the next bottom two, and round, taking a hook if you need to. If you only have a plastic hook, you may struggle to do this. A metal hook is definitely better. And just manipulate your petals so you can see what you're doing. So just be careful if you are using a plastic hook to do this. You may want to find something else to push bands out the way and to loosen up them on the peg so you can hoop them with your plastic hook, and they've just completely broken. Okay, what I'm going to do, so if it does break, it's not the end of the world. Loop them onto another pin, remove your petals unfortunately, thought it was doing so well. So if you loop just to a side pin out of the way, so you can find, just going to put that back onto the centre so it doesn't unravel. I think I actually still have one band, so we may be okay just to carry on. Yep, I still have one band. Phew. So I'm just going to remove that broken band, and I'm going to carry on with one band. 2 bands is definitely better, but I'm going to keep going, because just losing one band in one place shouldn't alter the overall effect of the flower. I'm just going to get rid of that band that's got caught there. Just means it will be slightly weaker on this part of the flower, which will be the bottom. But hopefully you've had no broken bands and you've continued looping and everything is going perfectly for you. Clearly today my bands do not want to do as they're told. And they want to show me up, so they're doing a very good job at that. We're near enough back on track again. If you've made my other flower designs, like this one, it's basically the same just with the extra petals. So if you know how to make that, you probably can just go ahead and finish. If you don't, then if you just hang fire for a second, it will catch you up, I promise. But I am having major problems, as you can see. And every other one I've done has run smoothly. The minute I try and explain how to make it, it all goes wrong. And I have no way of fast forwarding either, so I'm afraid, and I do apologise, I'm just going to have to bear with me just for a second or two while I just finish this off. We are nearly there, but unfortunately I can't go ahead and show you the last step without doing this first. I'll try and get it done as quick as I can for you, save you waiting if you are waiting for me, but I'm nearly there. Ta-da! Got there in the end. So there we go. Hopefully yours looks something like this. So we're going to go ahead and take it off of the loom. So first, we're going to take these 2 bands under here and tie it off. So put your hook down, find those bottom 2 bands, bring them up, sorry, I've just gone off camera just for a second while I find these bands. Back in just a second. couldn't quite see at the angle it was on camera. Okay, I'm back. And hopefully that is just the two, it's not just the two I want. So what you want to do is find out which one is the extra. So I've got 3 bands and I don't know where the other one's come from. There we go. That's the right 2 anyway. So bring it around your pin as best you can with the tension. Do it so you have both loops on your hook, and then pull these ones over, pulling the other ones under. Tighten as much as you can. If you need to, you can place it on the underside of the pin like this, and that will help to hold it in place until you've unlooped it and you have a bit more space to tighten it off. So just putting your pin, your hook, not your pin, inside each pin. Just take it off and securing this around your finger. Take it off and then pull these 2 bands tight. And I've just lost another band, so I'm not doing too well today, but we'll deal with that in just a sec. But otherwise, these bands need to be tucked in again. Like I said, they will slip out. So again, you just repeat on how you tuck them in with your hook. I'm just going to do this one again, just so you can see. So through the back, just tuck it out the way, best you can. And there, your Daffodil or Waterlily flower. I hope you've enjoyed making it. As you can see, there's all different colour combinations you can do with different bands. I'm using metallic ones on here and I've used metallic ones on here. You could use glitter ones or pearl ones or anything you like. Just be creative with it. I am on Instagram if you'd like to share your finished flowers with me. You can find me at Sally's Looming. And click like, comment, subscribe if you wish to. It would be nice to hear your feedback about the design and the tutorial. Got there in the end, luckily. And I think that's about it. I will be doing a leaf tutorial to go with these flowers, and also a bee and a butterfly, so you can add them to your flowers if you want to. And I do have a bigger flower, which is my clematis flower, and a single version tutorial of this as well. If you want to check them out, they are on my YouTube channel. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.